So my Thanksgiving experience is getting the whole big family together, Joya's and other ones, and we would all meet wherever we lived. And my mom would spend 2 or 3 days in preparation, making a huge meal with all these extras. And I mean, it was just incredible. And then the family would get together and we'd hang out for a little bit and we'd gorge ourselves. And then the cousins would sleep on the floor. It's a true story.
And that was a good experience?
That was a great time. We had a great time.
We want to know about your Thanksgiving experiences. And so this podcast, we are working on emotional sobriety while at Thanksgiving. Were you emotionally sober during all this eating and passing out?
I can't really remember. I was too chemically and no, I don't think so. No, I don't think I was. I still had a great time though.
These are our top 10 tips for emotional sobriety, plus a bonus one. We'll look forward to seeing you inside the podcast.
Real life for real families. Hurts, habits, and hang-ups happen in every family.
Jerry and I are here with tools to help you trust God, clean house, and tell the truth to ramp up the joy in your family.
You have what it takes.
It's time to become sober on purpose for His purpose. Hi, today we are talking about emotional sobriety for the holidays. You may have quit numbing out with all your addictions or anything that you were using not to feel your feelings, and now your emotions are right there with you. So emotional sobriety means accepting that you have emotions, working with them, and making mature adult choices about how you plan your days and time.
That's right. And we're going to talk about some tools and some tricks that you can use to help maintain your sanity through the holidays.
And so we've built a top 10 list of the top 10 things you can do. And these are centered around activities and things that happen in the holiday family gatherings. As we're recording this, we're 5 days away from Thanksgiving. And so we're looking at the things you can do to make sure that you stay emotionally sober so that you have the choices and the balance and the decision-making opportunity around how you plan to spend your time and how you react with others and how you talk to yourself. And the first one I put down was build joy.
All right. Yeah, I'm all about it. You got to proactively put some joy in the bank.
And I think that's about reflecting, and this is why we're going to start here, is kind of reflecting on the Thanksgivings in the past, not to go down the downward spiral of feeling sorry for yourself or saying, oh, I screwed that up, but to say, what is it I would like to see in a Thanksgiving, and to be realistic. So what are some of your favorite memories about Thanksgiving?
I really like the turkey. That's one of my favorite memories, and all the stuffed dates. I really like those. Good memories.
Oh, the cream cheese stuffed dates.
That's right.
Those are good. Yummy.
Yep. You got to get them before Uncle Jack.
So the question is, how can you foster more joy? How we were just talking about today in the Sober on Purpose Facebook group, where we're doing 7 tools to put in your toolbox to take Thanksgiving. So be sure and hop over there and look at that. These will work for the Christmas holiday or any other holiday we've got going. Talking about how you can foster more joy. And one of the ways is that you can only think of one thing at a time. You can't think negative and positive thoughts. So like a lot of people say, this is affirmation time. This is time to look at the holiday with some clarity, since we're looking at it sober and with some maturity, and say, what is it that I really enjoy and what is it that overwhelms me, and maybe cut out a few things. So what would you cut out? If you like the dates and the cream cheese, what would you cut out?
Yeah, I would try and cut out some of the vegetables. Yeah, like fiddleheads. Cut those right out.
I don't think you've ever eaten a fiddlehead in your life. So one of the things that I've cut out, and one of the things we're doing this year, is we are not actually eating turkey. We're eating chickens because it's just easier for the person who's hosting us, and we're okay with that. And we're gonna eat chickens instead of turkey. And I've cut out a lot of the fancy desserts, a lot of the bread making, those types of things that make me a little bit crazy. And the other thing that I'm focusing on cutting out this year is the overeating of sugar.
Good. Just don't try and bring anybody else down that with you, okay? We're going to be over here consuming the sugar for you. We'll get that extra sugar intake and make up for your shortcoming.
So what are some positive things you could say to yourself as you are preparing for Thanksgiving?
Well, whenever we talk about building joy, I've never really heard it described like that, but what I immediately think about is gratitude and a gratitude list and an attitude of gratitude, and just, kind of trying to remember and focus myself into all of the blessings that I truly have, and just kind of count my blessings, as cliche as that may sound, and just be thankful for the good things.
So if you've stopped doing your gratitude journal for whatever reason, or you're not doing your step 10, or you're not doing something that lifts you up, this might be a good time to start again. And it's super simple. Just to write down 3 or 4 things in the morning or in the evening before you go to bed that you're grateful for. And it really does change the way you think. It's not that waiting for things to happen to be grateful for changes you. It's being grateful for the things that are already happened that begins to bring the joy. Like, I'm really thankful that I don't clean my house for this. I go to somebody else's house. And when I think about that, that helps me bring more joy into that other person's house. But let's move on. So the next one, I think that's really important, especially if you're going into a family situation that is not, everybody is not practicing emotional sobriety, and sometimes there's non-maturity, is planning or providing yourself with escape routes. So what are some of those escape routes?
Take a second car.
Yeah, we do that for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as it sounds. You have an excuse ready to in case you have to leave. You have an escape route. You have a plan.
But what would some of those things be?
Well, besides the fact, I'm trying to put where we're going to our aunt's house, and buried away in rural mountain area, very cold. You can't just walk outside. You'd have to have your Arctic wear. So if you have a party of what are we talking about? We're going to be a party of 6,
8.
Well, just us, not them, because they're they don't need an escape route. They just needed a.
But maybe sometimes I think the hosts need an escape route, and I think
their escape route is like, get out.
Well, it's not that simple. One of the things you can do, I think, is, like Jerry said, take a second car, but I think you can also offer to go to the store for last minute things, or you could create a last minute thing. And again, this is to maintain your emotional sobriety if you need to step out. You could also offer to walk the dog. You could have a friend call you and just check on you. So if there's a familiar voice, especially if you're at a Thanksgiving where it can get kind of tense. The other thing that we've talked about is put some funny things on your phone. So if you need to step into the bathroom and look at a quick 1 or 2 minute video, or look at a funny meme, that's something that you can do to provide yourself an escape route. You are not trapped. You have options. So that's really important to recognize. Then the next thing that I was thinking about, so number 3 would be decide beforehand when you're going to leave.
And then stick to it.
I think it can be flexible, but decide with the people in the party of when you're going to leave and have a good idea. One of the things is, if you're at a family situation where you know the alcohol is going to continue and get heavier and heavier, then know when the host is serving the meal, turn up for the meal, and have the ability to get out of there.
All right, but if you're going to decide the time you're going to leave and then be open to moving that, then what's the point in deciding it?
Because I think you need to decide among the family members. Because I could decide and you wouldn't know and they wouldn't know and the kids wouldn't know. And especially if there's going to be some behavior there that I'm uncomfortable with. The other thing I've heard is have a code word. If you're just at the end of your limit, then you have a code word with your spouse and you say, okay, chicken snot, and we need to move.
I want to do cucumber platypus this year.
So the code word allows you to then both parties start saying, oh, we need to get home, or making it some reasonable. And again, this is not to be deceptive. This is to make sure that you can maintain your emotional sobriety, that you can be the one that gets to say, hey, I had a good time, and I'm ready to go on my way, which you're very good about.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just say it. But I want our code word to be, you know what, I'm a little stressed out right now. I'm ready to go home. That can be our code word.
Which is actually Jerry's code word. And if we have people over, we love having people over. It's great. But Jerry's like, hey, I got to get up early in the morning. Really nice having you. Let's go ahead and go. A lot of folks are not that comfortable inside themselves to be able to do that.
Or more tactful, I think, is maybe another way to put it, yeah.
Some dead brain cells.
Okay, let's move on.
All right, so number 4, plan activities. This is when people get in trouble, is when there's nothing to do and then some nitpicking can start happening, or sarcasm, or those types of things. So what kind of activities would you suggest?
Activities. How about cribbage? What? There's nothing wrong with cribbage.
It's a 2-person game. Or wait, you can play 4.
Partners,
you
yeah.
can play partners and 4s, and it could set you off to the side.
You could probably play 6. Actually, I've never done it, but I bet you could play 6.
Yeah, so bringing games, fun games that you might like, or even games that, this is really interesting, even games that only you and a few people can play, can set you off to the side. The other thing that I think would be fun is to bring photos to share, since we've all got that on our phone.
Yeah, you could watch football.
And you could watch football. You could talk about a special memory. You could kind of guide the conversation. These are all things that it just doesn't happen. You have to prepare for them.
Sledding, although it's kind of dark pretty early.
Yeah, it's a little cold for us to go sledding. Number 5. And so alcohol is probably pretty free-flowing at most people's Thanksgivings. And one of the things I thought was to bring a special kind of soft drink or hot drink that would be fun. So when I go to a restaurant, since we don't drink anymore, I like to get the raspberry iced tea with a twist of, some kind of fruit or something like that, or a hot drink that has something fancy to it. And we have a blog about this, so you can hop over there and I'll have some suggestions for you. But, what did we drink? A Mexican hot chocolate at one party that we'd never had. I think, we did. At a Christmas party that we'd never had before. So it has cinnamon and milk, and it has some kind of hot pepper in it or something. And so that just gives you the option to walk around with a drink. And I was listening to a major CEO, doesn't drink anymore, but it makes other people uncomfortable that he doesn't drink. So he gets some cranberry juice in a wine glass and just walks around like that. You have any thoughts on that?
No, I think I've been there. I've made people uncomfortable by being the square who doesn't drink.
But if you bring a fun recipe, and maybe that can be your contribution to Thanksgiving, if you bring a fun recipe, and something the kids can get involved in, it doesn't necessarily need to look like a cocktail. It can be a smoothie. It can be something like that. That might be something that just changes the whole dynamic and brings a little joy. That's back up to number 1. So number 6 is have a safe person. And maybe you're not taking anyone with you, but like we were talking about with a code word, you could put the safe person on speed dial.
All right, number 7.
You don't have anything to say about the safe
I'm struggling with that because, if you're not going to take the person, you're talking about just reaching out to them by phone, then how are they a safe person?
Because, we're back to changing your thoughts. If you're having negative thoughts, or you're feeling like somebody is saying ugly things to you, or those types of things, you can call, just like you would call a sponsor, and say, okay, this person said this to me. Is this really what I think it is?
All right.
And
so
how
would
would I deal with that?
With that in mind, then I would say have a safe person that you've coordinated with before the event, that you're letting know that you might be in a difficult situation, and reach out for some help. So I know it's Thanksgiving, but is that something you think you could be available for? If I was to call you, do you think you could be in a place where you could answer the phone and try and coordinate that proactively in case you were needing to cash in on number 6?
And it's not time to dump your whole family history. It's just to say, hey, I need to breathe for a minute. This is what got said to me. And how crazy is this? And then they can help you work out an option of maybe you go back out and you're all smiles again, or you go join a game somewhere away, or, all those types of things. Family is not always easy. We've got a lot of history together, and we can trigger each other really quick.
What do you mean by that?
So, transition time. Do you want to talk about transition time?
I'm not sure what it is. You better give me a...
Okay, so transition time is like what we do when you come home. You need some time to go from work to home and kind of get yourself adjusted. And so sometimes he gets a snack and sometimes he sits on the couch. It just depends on what he does. That happens when you show up at the door at a party. It's a little overwhelming, right? So transition time might be you take a little more time to take your coat off. You go in the kitchen and, offer to help or something like that. That kind of gives you a minute to get adjusted to what's going on.
No, I think that's good. That's perfect. Maybe if it's a little stressful, you could find the restroom and let everybody get all of their small talk and meet greet out of the way, and then come back out after most of that has been shaken out.
Yeah, and actually, I don't really like to be at the start of the party. I like to be when it's already moving because it's kind of awkward and it triggers things in me. So I talk too much. So it helps me to kind of give myself grace and have a little more transition time there. Make peace with the negative voices in your head. Want to talk about this?
I don't really have negative voices in my head, so I'm happy to talk about that for you. I mean, I don't know how I make peace with. I mean, that's like, I don't know. That's like Gandhi stuff right there. That's that. If you could make peace with the negative voices in your head, then
again,
you'd be well.
We are trying to be well. We're trying to be emotionally sober. Did you miss the whole point of the podcast?
I'm with you, but it's like, all right, that should be number 1. You get that one out of the way, and you're good. You got all these other ones.
Well, it's kind of like build joy, but it's being really aware that in a triggered situation, your brain is going to go, well, maybe she's right. Maybe I didn't do that well. And maybe that was a bad thing. And maybe this and maybe that. And if you already have this understanding that you're putting affirmations in, you're putting good thoughts in, that you are deeply loved and cared about by God, and that no matter what happens, God's not going to take away his love from you, then those negative voices have to get off your bus.
Yeah, and that kind of does lead me into something I think about when I have that negative self-talk. The way I feel is that there's 3 voices in my head. There's me, and there's the devil, and then there's the Holy Spirit. And the trick is to decipher who the heck is talking to me at this moment. And just by doing that, just by trying to evaluate that logically and deduce who is actually the one who is speaking to me, can help me to make peace. Because if it's the negative voices, I'm like, oh, that's just that bully on the playground. I'm not going to listen to him. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get about my business.
It's kind of like, not today. Not today, devil. Not today. We're not doing that today. This is another place that your safe person could help. So maybe you don't even share what's going on with your safe person. Maybe you just call them and say something nice to me. Say that I'm doing great and that I'm really doing a good job and that hanging on to my emotional sobriety is of utmost importance to me. And, that's another place that if you have somebody at the function, you could just go over and use your code word. And maybe it doesn't mean we need to leave, but I just need you to say, it's okay. We're going to be all right. Number 9, do not look for offense. Unfortunately, families have the ability to offend each other really, really quickly. And there may be some unhealed things. So, this is where your breathing exercises come back in of if Aunt Cindy says you look fat, or says, "Oh my, you have really changed dress sizes," then it's time to put our thick skins on and just let it go.
All right, number 10, make yourself useful. Yeah, I think that's pretty easy. I make the gravy, right?
Yeah.
When we do that, we're not doing that this year, it sounds like.
I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do about gravy.
We'll have to not stuff the dates until we arrive, and then I can stuff the dates once we get there.
But it could be anything. It could be helping with the food. It could be helping, doing the coats, or, making sure the cars are in the right place. It could be all kinds of things where you can make yourself useful. And there are some hostesses that do not want you in the kitchen, and be aware of that. But that means you can help with the kids, or you can make conversation with some of the older members of the group. There's all kinds of ways to make yourself useful while you're doing that. You could even bring a project with you if you needed something to make yourself useful. So that was 10, and we've got a bonus. This is the best one that I think that's available to any of us, is if you've got kids at the party, join the kids table. They have a lot less to trigger you about, and they're always the most fun.
Yeah, they're the cutest too.
Jerry's a big offer to hold the baby person, and most mommies are pretty good with that. They've been holding the baby all the time. So if you are good with kids, or even if you're not good with kids, hop over and join the kids table. That pulls you out of the adult conversation. That gives you an opportunity to, spend time with people who are fresh and ready to go. The other thing is, we have a son that loves to tell jokes. So he has several knock-knock books. And the knock-knock jokes, not always my favorite, but they do, as you roll with it, they do get funnier, and they pull you out of the situation you're in.
I did hear a couple good ones. I did. Where does the Canadian bodybuilder go to eat?
I don't know.
At the buffet, right? Wait, there's another one. I went to the doctor, but all he did was draw blood from my neck. I'm never going to go see Dr. Acula again.
So kid-friendly, polite company-friendly jokes are always welcome. Even if they're just punny and not really funny, it breaks up. We are all looking for something to laugh at and be humorous.
You got the Canadian bodybuilder one, didn't you?
Yes, of course I did.
Okay.
We would love to hear your suggestions on what you do to maintain your emotional sobriety. And remember, emotional sobriety denotes the awareness of our emotions as they happen, and the ability to choose our responses with maturity and clarity. And just getting sober from substance or any type of addiction, relationship, food, gambling, pornography, doesn't mean you're emotionally sober.
Right. Doesn't.
That's the best you got.
Well, I don't know. What do you want me to say? I think emotionally sober is the ability to be comfortable within your own skin, to feel like, it's not that big of a deal, the things that happen. And of course, unless they are really big deal. But for the most part, to just be okay with the way you are and the way things are, and just live in the moment and find some serenity there.
And let us do one little disclaimer. If you are physically unsafe, there is no reason to participate in this. And if you're truly emotionally unsafe, there is no reason to participate in this. I have spent many Thanksgivings at friends' houses. Jerry has too. And you need to do what is the best for you. Thanksgiving can be a really painful possibility. I have a blogger friend who they have decided they will have Thanksgiving with their girlfriend instead of going to their family's house, because it just was not working. So there is no reason to put yourself in an unsafe situation. We want to wish you from the Joyous Joya family a happy Thanksgiving. Remind you to bring the joy and use your toolbox to stay emotionally sober. And we would really like them to be at
joyousfamily.com.
Yes, and the Facebook group, because we have a Sober on Purpose Facebook group. So we'd love to hear from you. That is facebook.com/Sober on Purpose. We are really looking for some reviews on iTunes. I'm on
Yes.
iTunes. Jerry's on Stitcher. So we're competing against each other. We're a very competitive family. Don't take them over to Stitcher. Take them over to iTunes and drop us some stars and some words, right?
Right. How do I tell if they're doing it on Stitcher?
Because it should show up on your review thing.
Oh, should it? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, we'll get to it because I haven't seen that yet.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.